New Mexico has one of the highest rates of melanoma in the country, and researchers at the UNM Cancer Center are changing how skin cancer is detected, treated, and prevented. Dr. Marianne Berwick is an internationally recognized melanoma researcher and actually co-leads the Cancer Population Sciences program at the Cancer Center. Good morning, Marianne.
Good morning, Nikki.
Great to have you here. Such an important topic.
Yeah, I'm really pleased to be talking about it.
Absolutely.
Prevention is really the key for skin cancer.
It sure is. I mean, I want to talk about the fact that in this high desert UV radiation city, I mean, we are getting that UV radiation in a very intense way, really year round, but especially during the summer. And that's an issue when Albuquerque's UV index regularly tops out at 11 plus, and that's the highest level measured, isn't it?
That's right. In the United States and places like Australia and New Zealand, where we have really high rates of skin cancer.
Well, why is UV radiation so high here compared to other sunny states? Like I told you, I lived in Miami, and it's so different here. I burn so easily.
It's partly the altitude. So we're at 5,000 feet, which people forget all the time.
Yes.
And we're at a low latitude. So that combination makes it very high, a lot of sun.
Absolutely. And as I said, and unfortunately I hate saying it, but New Mexico does have one of the highest rates of melanoma in the nation. And actually, this is an interesting statistic. I read that 320 new cases are diagnosed in this state each year.
That's right.
That is crazy.
Yeah, we vie with California and Utah for the highest rates, and we all have to use prevention measures.
Well, we need to talk about that because it's also very disturbing to know that skin cancer diagnosed in New Mexico has more than doubled in the last 35 years or so. And even though so many of us are aware of the dangers, myself included, a lot of us are still having problems. So why is that, even with the awareness?
Well, there are two reasons.
Okay.
One is that we are more aware, and so we diagnose it earlier, which is very, very good.
Okay.
But the other is we wear fewer clothes. And
interesting.
so we're not protecting ourselves in
Very
the way that we should be. We used to wear hats and long sleeves, and those would protect us.
Right, and when we're having triple-digit heat on days like we've been, where it's in the 90s and 100s, who wants to cover up?
Well, but who wants to go out?
Exactly, that too. Well, the thing is, I know a lot of times when we talk about skin cancer, in addition to sun, we talk about genetics a lot. So is it a genetic thing?
There is a genetic factor.
Okay.
Our group has been studying various genes that predispose certain people to skin cancer.
Okay.
And it's very important to continue doing that work.
Yes, because I know when you get checked, I mean, I just recently had a check, and I know the first thing they say is, do you have it in your immediate family?
Right.
So it's really important to, I guess, talk to your family and say who in the family has had it.
That's right.
What were the symptoms? And so speaking of that, what are some of the signs and symptoms that we should look for?
Well, we should always look for a changing spot. And if you have any concern about it at all, go to a doctor and have it checked.
Okay. I actually had a very interesting experience that I would share, is that I had a spot that was kind of worrying me, and what the doctor told me was, let's take a photo, and in 6 months come back and we'll see if that photo has changed. So that might be a good way to do it.
Yeah, great way to
take a picture and then see, because sometimes we don't remember, did it get bigger, is it the same, I don't know.
Yeah.
So a photo might be a good way. And also, you know, you said to me earlier in this segment that prevention is the key.
Yes.
So we look for these signs, we look for these symptoms. How can we take precautions, and how do we get to that prevention state?
Well, we need to be aware, and
Okay.
so the UV index gives us an idea. The higher the UV index, the less time you want to spend out in the sun. But you also do need to cover up, and the first line of defense is a hat and long sleeves, even if it's just gauzy cotton. That's
Really?
great. But sunscreen is very helpful. So.
Now, what really is the minimum? I mean, you know, sometimes you hear, well, you have to wear at least 30. Other people say, no, you have to wear at least 45. I mean, what would you say?
I would say 30.
Really?
I think
Okay.
15 to 30 is quite adequate. The key is putting enough on, and most people don't want to.
Right, they don't want to get all greasy.
Right.
And then they have to also remember we sweat in the sun, so you have to reapply.
You have to reapply. You'll get the full benefit if you reapply after being outdoors for half an hour.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, we're all guilty of saying, oh, I just tan, but you know, it's very important that we wear that sunscreen. And it's also my understanding that about 50 New Mexicans each year are dying from skin cancer.
Yes.
And that's scary, but if caught early enough, I think melanoma can be treated successfully, right?
For most melanomas, that's true.
Okay.
And surgery is the key, so that if you go to a dermatologist or your primary care physician and you're concerned about a lesion, then have it checked, have it biopsied, and that may be the cure that you need.
Because early prevention really is the key.
Yeah.
And we don't want to see more deaths. Now, what if it's not caught early?
Well, there's some hope.
Okay, oh good.
Yes.
Let's hear that.
Part of our genetic studies are identifying tumors that have certain mutations, and we're learning how to stop the effect of those mutations with different drugs. We're not very far along that path yet, but we're getting there, and it's very exciting.
It's hopeful.
Yeah.
We love hearing things we can be positive about for a change. Now, in addition to that, is there any other research or breakthroughs at the UNM Cancer Center that you can share with us?
Well, sure. Along those lines, there's a type of mutation in tumors that has it's called a BRAF mutation, and about half of people with metastatic melanoma have this mutation in their tumor. And recently the FDA approved a drug that will stop some of the effects of that mutation. It will only prolong life a few months, but it makes people feel much better. Their quality of life is greatly improved, and that of course means a lot to all of us.
Well, and it means a lot to all of us that you're working on these breakthroughs and all this research, because all we want is for people to be able to live longer and be healthy. And we talked about the prevention, but there are new FDA rules actually for labeling, and also for, you know, when we label that sunscreen, we want to be able to know when they're going into effect, and also, you know, how we can use these products. Tell me about that.
They'll go into effect next summer. And they're wonderful new rules because they make it much more clear to the population what the SPF means. And so they're indicating, so there are two types of UV rays. There are UVA rays, which go very deep into the skin, and UVB rays, which cause damage in the top of the skin, in the superficial part of the skin. And so we want to protect ourselves against both. And so the new rules are covering both. So you want a broad spectrum sunscreen, and they have to have been tested in the same way.
And this goes into effect next summer, you said?
Next summer.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to that. That's good news. Now, if someone suspects that they might have skin cancer, they can go directly to the Cancer Center, or do they have to be referred by a physician? I mean, what is there?
The very best thing is to go to their dermatologist, and he will do a biopsy. And the results of that biopsy will be important for telling the person whether they need to go for further treatment or whether it's taken care of then.
And then they'll know if they need to go for further treatment, they will be possibly referred over to the Cancer Center? And then they'll look from that point forward. So hopefully we continue to listen to all of these rules and all of these ways that we can prevent it. And I'm sure there is a lot of great information on your website as well. So can you share that with us so we can go for more details?
Yes. So it's cancer.unm.edu.
Great, and of course you can see all the details on your screen, as well as phone numbers to call if you need any more information. And we really appreciate you being here, because this is, like I said, a very important topic that everyone in the state has to really make sure that they put in top of mind.
Yes, please do.
Well, you have beautiful skin, so, you know, I'll trust what you say.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us today. And if you want to live like a rock star at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, you can. Coming up next, we'll give you the new entertainment lineup, and later, be a straight shooter. We're talking to Caliber Shooter Sports Center.
Everything I shot at.